Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. Thank you for waiting outside in a cold day. Got stuck with work. Hope it wasn't that long. I see new faces, so basically for those of you who don't know what we're doing here, I take the responsibility of bringing a bit more awareness of what meditation is. Meditation is pretty confusing term, used in many different ways, but my angle on it is when practiced properly, it should be a real revolution with very important positive consequences in so profound ways that is difficult to explain. Now, starting from scratch, the challenge, probably most people nowadays get started with an app or with YouTube or something like that. That's a great aid. So probably all of you need to look for the right one that fits more with you. That's useful. Find the right thing. You will need to test different ones. But you should notice there is something about it that makes you feel a bit more relaxed and alert at the same time. That will be maybe a good way of understanding in the very beginning. And then after that, when you're ready to, more motivated to go deeper, then you need to find structure of meditations that you could practice on your own without audios. And at any given time of the meditation, you know what you're doing and what you should be experiencing and what is happening and what you should be doing. It's not, say this because many people think that meditation is some sort of space out. And actually for most people it is, especially with this mindfulness mainstream approach we have, which is beautiful in the sense that it's bringing a lot of useful exercises into mainstream community, and now it's very famous. There are a lot of research done on how positive it is, and yet the downside of that is that would make many people not understand what are they designed for. So many people would use them they may trying to escape stress or anxiety or wrong career or relationship or something like that in life, and then you feel anxious or you feel depressed, and then you look for a doctor and the doctor tells you do yoga, meditation, or there's nothing wrong with that. But in that situation, you are using meditation sort of like a fix, which is good. It's probably the very legit way of getting started with it. But it's not just to help you escape from your life. Done properly, to start showing you processes in yourself that you don't notice, which are the ones that are actually responsible for how you feel at any given moment. That's really valuable. Rarely people have a direct approach like this, unless in our culture is only pouring from Eastern countries, although it's in any given time in history there has been always clear pointers and wise people who talk all the time about this. But to make a comparison with our regular culture, if you are stressed or you're living in a situation where you're suffering or you're unsatisfied, you will reach out for a psychologist, and then you will deal with your problems, which in many cases will involve going back to your past and uncover traumas, stuff like that, which obviously works to some extent in some cases. So it's really good that we have that, especially for people who are in real need. But meditation is aiming at not just releasing yourself from stress, but showing your own potential. And that means that will also make you feel things that we are repressing and we don't want to feel. That's the thing that will kick out the curious people. Oh, meditation, yeah, I'm doing it, it feels good. So you will end up looking for that meditation that makes you feel good, or you're thinking that when you meditate you should just feel bliss out all the time, or so relaxed, so numb that you don't remember your problems. No, that's really not the purpose of it. Okay, I talk about what is not. I brought today, guys, I'm lately bringing this kind of inspirational quotes or phrases from wise masters. So, human suffering and permanent happiness, ultimate topic in the world. Suffering. I have good news for you, bad news. Good news is suffering is not your default being. On the contrary, satisfaction is joy, like you will see in a small kid. Or no, we are supposed to be enjoying this very much, almost all the time. That is very important to. It's not that we get older, we got serious, we got more traumatized, and life is the way, we all gonna die. No, we're supposed to be enjoying it full time then. Why we don't? Because we are thinking all the time, nonstop. We are addicted to thinking. Right now, probably it's happening without you even noticing. We're so used to it. It's like the noise. They're just like, I don't agree with that. So we just learn to pretend we are not that crazy. So first step is realizing, yes, if you sit and start listening to your mind, you're not gonna like it. You're gonna feel very frustrated, out of control, and not wanting to notice that you're so victim. That shocking thing after sitting and start just noticing what is there, and listen to your thoughts and noticing how you feel. That is basically what you should be doing already now as I talk you in. You start noticing that actually you didn't even think your thoughts properly. Saying, most people think, I kind of decided to think that. We assume we are in control and we are conscious in our life. We take decisions because, no, I really wanted to do that and I'm going to take the decision. But even science is proven very quickly beyond marketing that actually very predictable. And we're very much victims of a lot of things that we never even decided in the first place to be our way of thinking. And we think we are that. That is the problem. The bad news is that thing been going for so long that we got used to it. So from the perspective of a drug addict, it will feel more familiar and natural and more pleasant to have your drug in there than to go in without drug. That's the situation anyone's gonna face when you sit to meditate. Different devices to some extent or another, but surely and slowly and ultimately will start kind of slowing down your mental processes, especially your attachment to your own thoughts. So the more you're here, you're chilling out, just opening to this moment, perception of being here and now, your breath, your physical sensation. When these things start becoming a predominant, more sustained continuous awareness, then your thoughts start decreasing in intensity and power to hook you and take you out of yourself, which will be the normal circumstance. Does it make sense? I always assume that people agree with that. I hope. Is there anyone who disagrees with anything that? Please do. I'm very happy to.
Yeah, I'm a little bit disagree without what you said about that mindfulness brought this negative element also to about the meditation practice, because it brought some connotation or some misinterpretation, or because I think it depends on the approach which the mindfulness trainer brings. I mean, at least the courses I took part of, they were exactly what you are talking about like not about just shutting down for a while and fixing your, I don't know, like a psychological stand, but rather that you should have it as a regular practice in order to, like, as you do it with brushing your teeth every morning, or some kind of, like, it should be part of your life. I think it's really, maybe there are also the case, but I would not say it's absolute that all mindfulness courses.
Where do mindfulness come from?
What do you mean?
The whole movement of mindfulness, where does it come from?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. I was talking about the origins of that. As I said, I want to make clear, it's fantastic that we have mindfulness in our daily life, and there are all these courses available to everyone. It's really, really positive. I was just talking about, I'm just trying to bring about that all the same kind of tools applied in a different context can mean a lot more, which is good news. I'm just saying that. Just all these come from different sources, but the main source of the mindfulness movement we have, it comes from a very beautiful person, a doctor who realized incredible healings and improvements, psychological and physical, in people, and tried to make that science. So he needed to, as in any scientific environment, need to kind of decontextualize and prove if someone does that happens in their body, regardless of their beliefs or things like that. So he completely decontextualized the tools in order to bring it into a way that, to start with, it could be treated in science. If we had any kind of belief or assumption that wouldn't be scientifically proven, it would be completely rejected by it. So I say it all comes from a very beautiful place, and yet I'm just saying that it could be more than that. So it's not denying that. I'm saying like it just gets even more exciting, and it can not just be a way of relieving stress, but it can lead to a more consistent and broad approach, which is very difficult to treat in format that could be shared for scientific studies or for treatment. Ultimately, end of the day, it's a very personal and profound thing, and each person is different, and it's really incredible how all this can vary. So, as I said, I didn't want to bring it down. Just wanted to say that if you go down to the roots of all these techniques, you're gonna find they were used in a different context, which will imply, and that's part of the reasons why I do this, a lot of adjustment to vocabulary and understanding of symbols, of understanding of reasons and ways of seeing the world. So me, as many people, I think we did all that work, and it's so rich. We're so blessed to have had so many humans, so smart, so sensitive, dedicated their life, like 24 hours a day for an incredible amount of time, and a lot of people, and they really, in the most scientific way, try to put it all together and try to come to conclusions on how to. One of the ways would be like go out of suffering. You know, if there's a cure to suffering is not our natural state, how you get out of that. So we are blessed to have all these sources, and it is way richer than that. But if you approach a Tibetan Buddhism center or something like that, everybody like will be pulled into a adjustment, cultural adjustment and symbolic adjustment, and they're in the right to do in the way they're doing because they're lineage. But probably we all need, maybe I'm going a little too far on the topic, sorry for that. We all need to experience as much as possible and bring it into practice. So my experience is that it's really beautiful. I can stop sharing it. I really want to call aloud everyone and tell and stop everyone on the street and say, no, this is being alive is a bless. It's a blessing. And for me, it was a process. And there is all these beautiful tools available, and there is all these principles that each one has to test on their own, which angle works better. But ultimately, it's really good news. I'm trying to do that. Let's see if I succeed at all. But ultimately, I hope that's what get out of it. I don't belong to any religious organization or have any specific belief, or I would recommend anyone a specific path at all. When people come and say, recommend me a book, it's like, in the other hand, when I look at people in the eyes, I can feel it's there, it's in everyone, it's there all the time, and I think it should be more part of our life. So some of my statements will be a little big, I would say, but I think it's important to understand we are not discussing just about fixing a problem. We're discussing about covering a potential which requires a leap of security psychologically, and that it is to go out of our minds. Simple principle. It's not like repressing our minds. It's not that the whole point is to shut up your mind. We're discussing some sort of like chemical, physical reactions. And the principle is, if you pay a little attention, you will notice that you are constantly hypnotized by your own thoughts. And these thoughts come and go freely in your mind. You have no way to stop them. You never chose them. And like an addict, it's just an analogy. It's not just an addict. Like, what is the Stockholm syndrome? We got so used to it, we can stop with it so much that just relaxing and seeing the beauty of a tree will be like psychologically too difficult. So if you were risking your life not to keep on thinking all the things that need to be thinking. So if I in any way succeed in addressing that point practically in your lives, I feel really, really satisfied. So the meditations are first on a superficial level an exploration of that situation. That needs to be understood and acknowledged and verified by your direct experience. That you don't really have, you have a bit of supposedly control of your mind. Although even in science there's a serious question about free will, not just in philosophy or religion. But the important thing is to notice it. And it's a really humiliating, maybe, frustrating. But it's the principle, because if you get that one, you are already seeing what you have, the only thing you need to see. If you can get to observe your mind, you are getting out of its hypnotic trance already. So, how you do that? Get your body in a comfortable position. Straight spine. It is highly recommended because done properly, once your body finds the adjustment, your body can deeply relax, and at the same time you can keep a very subtle and fine attention at the same time. So first thing, you are not your mind. So in the worst moment of your life, you still will find, you relax a little bit, will find some gaps of thinking. Sometimes your mind just rests, maybe 1 second. Or maybe longer. If it's longer, congratulations. But unfortunately, if you keep relaxed, the moment you get a little distracted, your mind will get back at putting this daydreaming machine and absorb your attention. So what would happen if you wouldn't be absorbed by your thinking? If your mind will completely relax? Your attention will shift. Instead of daydreaming your thoughts, first thing that will happen, you will enhance your senses, your sense of having a body, of being here and now. So just exploring the sensations of your body, any perception, sound, you don't need to think to observe that. So without forcing, just out of relaxation and gently shifting your attention. In the beginning, it's recommended to have an anchor, like one single event, maybe your breathing, maybe your body in different ways, maybe sounds, maybe even images, maybe even the thinking itself, to anchor and decide to have one specific range of perception. And then that will let you notice the contrast against thinking, how thinking is pulling you out without you even notice all the time. But for today, a little more subtle, but completely possible. Try to consider anything but your thinking. So you don't need to think in anything to do this. So you can discard any thought as it comes. It's just a conversation, stored in your mind. And gently, over and over, rest your attention in the experience of being here and now, all together. There's a constant sound in the background, alternating sounds that pop from time to time. The more curious you are about every detail of perception, the more your mind will start relaxing. Your body will follow. The more you let go, the easier it becomes to notice what's happening. If you do this long enough, you start noticing that actually thinking is a concentrated, it is a contraction of your attention. It's actually active. We are so used to it that it seems to be effortless. But if you rest deeper, you get to the point that even thinking feels like too much of an activity. You don't need to focus on anything special. You may have a hollow sensation of here and now, like feeling everything at the same time. Or you may notice some sort of jumping focus from one sound to another, from one sensation to another. In both cases, let it be relaxing in perception versus thinking. You'll notice how pleasant is the relaxation into your body and mind that comes when you're just aware of this moment, of the simple things that get unnoticed. Just relax into them. you can stabilize in the relaxation and feel your attention open, noticing the details of everything, then just stay in there, stabilizing in clarity and relaxation. It's a non-doing. You cannot do meditation. And if you find yourself thinking, just notice how that thought sort of spontaneously pop up, but you are reinforcing it by contracting your attention, and then the thought continues in a thread. So just relaxing and opening will make the thinking lose energy. Relax deeper and deeper. There is nothing to do. Meditation is non-doing. It's the most effortless thing. It's the state prior to your thinking. So you don't really need to do something to control your thinking. It's like taking a step back and just releasing the mental contraction of attention. In the very first moment that you try to do something, you try to meditate, you will start thinking or trying to control the situation, judging the situation. It's easier than that. Open up your attention and stabilize in clarity and relaxation. Notice everything at the same time happening in this moment. The most passive and effortless state, and yet very much fresh and alive. The attention becomes brighter. Keep your mind, your heart, your attention open like a flower, embracing any perception event happening right now. Immerse your attention in every detail. Out of habit, your attention may contract in your thinking, more or less. That's okay. Just relax. And notice every detail. Notice how things happening in this very moment, appearing and disappearing. The process feels like you're slowly undoing a build-up habit of controlling and thinking. So keep an open perception. Instead of thinking, perceive. No matter how many times your mind goes back to thinking, just relax and have a very vivid perception of everything that happens in this moment. Sound, sensation in your body, even a thought can be impersonal. The more you perceive with clarity, the less you're thinking. Not because you're stopping your thinking, it just loses energy. Now, when you perceive every event with precision, at some point you start finding stability that goes beyond the senses. If you notice every perception event at the same time and relax, but keep a vivid, sustained attention, you will notice the fluctuations of perception. Everything is coming and going all the time. And if you sustain the relaxation and vivid awareness of perception moving in and out, you will start noticing a background of stillness, of silence that is there always. Perception is just perception, doesn't need to trigger thinking or any emotional reaction. If you attend fully, relax, and once you notice all your sensory perception coming in and out like a movement sequence in time and space, just notice that which is still beyond any perception. The structure that sustains perception is not perception. That stillness beyond perception, beyond movement, beyond time, that stillness that you can only find here and now is the peace you're looking for. Just need to surrender your thinking. Notice everything and relax your mind deeper and deeper, becoming more and more alive and perceptive. That stillness is the container of every perception. It's always there. No matter which perception you're having, all of them are occurring in the same scenario, the same space, same stillness. Relax your mind into that. We're gonna end very soon. The last attempt of this exercise. Explore how much can you surrender your contraction into thinking, into perception, and relax in the background that sustains all perception. How much can you just trust this moment and completely surrender to what is? Can you let go more, surrender more, trust more? You are safe. You can let go of your mind and you're only gonna find peace. Just rest in a aliveness in this moment, without mind. Rest in the silence that pervades everything. Now slowly take a deep breath. Maybe a few more. Start waking up your body, maybe moving your fingers, but without losing the openness, the relaxation, the clarity. Whenever you're comfortable, you can open your eyes or move slowly. So disappointingly simple. It's sophisticated in definition, in perception, in surrendering yourself into it, but in the other hand, it's so simple the mind will get bored. But this is not just a meditation technique. It can be expressed or navigated in different ways, but ultimately it's the same thing that in any contemplative religion or even philosophers start exploring reality, this moment, with real curiosity, not with intellectual assumptions. Because you probably haven't noticed that once you reinforce your mind in any way, that's it. Sucks you in like a black hole. Sucks your attention. And for more, some of you may find this frustrating or may think that it's even difficult. So it's important to remind yourself that actually the opposite is true. your natural state is prior to thinking. You're always there. When you go to sleep tonight, you're gonna undo your mind. You go there, and as we don't have the same way that some people get drunk and forget about whatever they did because they cannot psychologically stand that happening. We go into denial. This happens in meditation, sometimes in very active meditations. I remember breathing, like knocking out. There are some meditations you do that for hours, and you would absolutely bypass. I mean, you wouldn't remember anything because there are things we don't want to see, and there are things that are to don't make sense, and it kind of challenges the stability of reality in our minds that are created with this activity. So just stopping mental activity in a very deliberate way will imply fear to most humans. It's like all your sense of knowing your reality, it will kind of start, you notice this sense of, like when in a culture or in a religion, someone comes and challenges with a really good argument, something, it's just people got super defensive, they will kill. And that actually, as you know, happened many times in history because everybody can sense we like to think that we are sure that we know, but real knowing is not done with our mind. The real knowing is not a belief. It's not something you think. If you think, you're not seeing. That's not the truth. If you believe in something, you're actively deciding that's the truth, which implies already that it's not the truth. You're just deciding to believe it. So the opposite is just to surrender to whatever it is. And if you do so, perception will start becoming here now more prevalent in your attention. That's where most people probably going to be for a long time. This battle with contraction in your mind and think, oh, and I'm thinking again in something else. I need to go back to the meditation. Important point is the relaxation. It's not like I'm going to meditate. Where we're trying to reach is already there before you think. So it's more like, no, simplify your perception of this moment even more. So much, so passive. And that's the beauty of it. Meditation is not something external to you that you learn. It's not a skill that you learn from a tradition or from a belief or anything like that. It's the core of you being alive here and now. It's not exclusive from any tradition from anyone. The same for everyone. But in order to reach that, you need to really voluntarily understand the situation with your mind. That are you in control of your mind? Are you thinking what you want to think? Or are you more of a slave of your mind? Which is a strange thought for many people in our culture because we say, no, I am my mind. This is me. It's just a little risky to go out of that. That's why people take drugs. But I think, oh no, it was just a drug. No, the drug didn't do anything beyond screwing your nervous system. So it kind of shock a little bit the system, and then you were just open, you pop up a little bit into. But the Tibetan word for meditation is familiarization. I think it's brilliant because you're not really doing anything. You just and little by little, as someone will be losing the fear to something, you just get used to. Just see, touch, nothing happens. Start letting go of the mental constraint that is definitely anxiety, depression, and all mental illness in a nutshell. needs this reinforcement of thinking. If you just let it go, at the very beginning, it's strange, but once you stabilize in it, you realize, actually, you think with more clarity than ever. Thinking is just a poof. And you are, most of the time, a bit more open into your experience here and now. But at the same proportion as you probably have experienced to some degree in the meditation, it's just very natural to start with. It feels very rooted. It feels not like a trance or like you just lost your mind or you went into some state. Or no, it just like feels like more here and now, more real, more fresh, more stable. It's just this. There is no risk on that. And yet, there is something about you that want to explore that, want to resist that. Because in order to do that, you need to check your room with your corpses and all that stuff. So hopefully at some point, you surrender, realize that you can't escape from that. So better just face it. And then this simple meditation or something like that will work. Like, bam. So it's not really a skill you necessarily had to be improving over time. It's more like, are you ready? Can you let go? Can you bypass all your conditioning or your compulsive thinking? Can you just bypass it? It's the most natural thing. It may feel disorienting at first. Most people, it's such a release to be constantly feeding this machine. It's like the trains with coal. It has to be constantly. So the very moment you just decide to stop, like in a surrender, it's peaceful to start with, but if there are degrees and it's a whole continuous experiencing. But certainly at some point when something really cracks and you let go a bit of the hang of your mind, most people will whether laugh or cry from the deepest part of yourself. Or you laugh because suddenly it's like when people get high and they're just in a way that you say, I don't know why, but wow, it's such a huge emotional release to let go of your fears. Like, there you go, 20 years of psychotherapy. So whether you laugh because suddenly just being in a body is like, oh my God, what is this? So incredibly intense and natural, like a baby, alive. And, or you will just cry out of the release of this emotional burden, of all this sadness, of all this trauma, of all these things that have been like pressing you so hard, like getting your heart and squeezing it. So you just let it go and just I'm talking about a crying that is more like a release rather than locked sadness. That's a different. I'm talking about, think about this religious experience, this ecstasy. That's the crack. After that, it just starts stabilizing on itself and just start feeling really good to be just normal. And if someone will ask you what happened, you say, just let go. Just quit thinking. You know, to some extent, you very well know what I'm talking about. I'm sure at some point in some area of your life, at some point you say, I'm done with this. And done with this thing. And suddenly, wow. Well, imagine that you can do that in a way more profound, way more generic way. And you can do that every time. Meditation is the art of just sitting and relaxing and letting go of your mind. Your mind is the only problem. Technique you use, whatever you want, really. Whatever works for you, as far as you keep clear. For the first stages, definitely you will notice more relaxation, which it brings a problem for some people that will just will bring this kind of drowsiness. Many people get stuck with that, and find it very relaxing compared to being stressed. So good, but no, you're missing this whole other range. You will know when you're meditating is an unmistakable experience. It's like falling in love or something like that. You can try to explain it, or people can try to. There's no way. You just know. You know you're alive right now. There is no logic about it. It's just clear, profound, direct experience. So you need clarity. That's, I would say, for people when get into this relaxation vibe, they all the time miss that clarity. And as they miss that clarity, they cannot go farther on the meditation, because farther means, I don't know, hopefully to some extent you will notice that perception can be such a busy thing. Sounds, body sensations. And if you perceive that, at some point your mind starts relaxing and opening, and you start getting to a whole new array of direct experience of, it's just data, a matrix coming to you. Not even your body, it's a body because you think it's a body. If you will directly try to observe your body like the most precise, direct, real-time way, and you spend time with it, you will start noticing that it's just a sequence of events. And we call it my body. And we have this sensation that it's a whole and it is there all the time. But if you really, really refine your attention right here, right now, and try to observe profoundly, you will start, that's a very scary thing for our psychological side, that everything's just exploded into a whole. Like there are no boundaries between you or anything else. You cannot even really locate yourself in a body, really. You just start, there's all this perception happening, like in a TV with all these bits of colors and lights. And when you stabilize in that, all this movement leads to even a deeper stability. That's when it really, really cracks. That all this movement, if you just see it in the most open and direct way, just observe the experience of being here and now. I'm not talking about anything strange, really. It's just what's happening now. Just observe and trying to fully live and perceive and relax. And you need to get out of this psychotic activity locked in your mind. Just relax and open and observe, relax and open and observe. So at some point, this perception started taking like a whole feeling, like Matrix, really, like in the movie. That it's like a TV. It's like you're in a dream and everything feels it's a dream. There is people, but this is a dream. Start just getting a direct. This is not a belief. This is not something to think about. This is just something to just really find your pixels of what is happening here and now. That's the process. Really find that you can only do that by letting go your mind, become more relaxed and more attent. And once you get all this picture, all this movement, like in a TV screen, all these pixels moving, at some point you get to see the screen. There is something, in order for all this perception to happen, there needs to be something that is allowing that to happen. But it's not a perception that will be inside of the movie. It's something else. And this, for strange, or I know for some of you may look like a big stretch, but it's a very direct experience. And that is what we're looking for in every experience. The background of the experience. So experience itself takes the course of being satisfactory regardless of what you're experiencing. And that is the way you sustain satisfaction and joy.
I'm really grateful that I have been able to be part in it, but I need to go.
Okay.
I need to be
No, please. Oh, yeah, anyone. Yeah. Please, anyone at any time. This is a free space. The same thing with moving. Yeah. Thank you so much for letting me know. Thank you for being here and sharing your presence. Thank you. Thank you. Sure. Yeah. No problem.
I'll be back. So.
Like now?
No.
Okay. Well, if just to extend a little bit what I was saying, if you get to rejoice in the experience of perception itself, and even it sounds very simple, that things will come and go, you start finding stability, and you just notice that you're kind of peaceful and joyful regardless what comes and goes. And that that's really good news. That's a superpower that everybody has, but it requires a direct exploration of that specific thing, a kind of very opening. Everybody in our life is calling our attention and focus on this new thing you need. Focus on your career. Focus on the future. Focus on this, and all this sucking in our attention. So freedom starts with relaxing here and now, and then start paying attention. That will expand. At some point you get to the border of the video game, and that is when you start finding the security, that you start just having this strong sense that whatever happens, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. You can lose your job. Your house can go on fire. And some way, it may distract you. I'm not saying no. No honest person will say, I will never. No, you can't know that life is very challenging and it will push you till the end. So don't underestimate that. Let's say, but it's very obvious that you start taking more satisfaction in just being alive here and now. And that is fulfilling. That is nice. And then your actions come out of joy. Your relationships come out of love, because you it's an expression of your natural joy of being here and now. Like, my kid goes around telling everyone that he loves everyone. And people are like, and he actually means it. That's the weirdest thing ever. He says, I love you. And people are like, they'll love him, of course, because he actually loves me. So honest, so direct. So, well, that little child in us is there, but we need to untangle a little bit all these experiences that lead us to a more narrow and strict assumptions of what life is, who we are, what things are. We need to get a little loose on that. So, and it always comes down in a nutshell of making peace with here and now. For that, you need to let go of the intention of control your life. Beginning is you're chilling out. If you really surrender your mind. I mean, let's put it this way. There is no emotion you could imagine to be better than that, than it. Your mind cannot imagine anything better than what it is already. So, to know that you are a prisoner of your mind is the dawn of wisdom. So contradictory to our culture. We think that being wise and know it is related to more mental activity, more assumptions, more information management. Well, that's not the way you know your life. That's not the way you know you love something profoundly. So, in the same way, this broader topic of I don't know even how to call it, because happiness is a branded thing nowadays, but some people call it love, some people call it, I don't know, whatever it is, but that is also something that cannot be known by thinking. That's why it's so frustrating to be all the time thinking, because it's like being all the time trapped in your phone and not do anything else. You will never do anything good. People will hate you. Your life will go into a mess if you do it all the time. But that's exactly what we're doing with our mind. We are distorting so much the perception of this moment that we become unsatisfied, and then we look for things to satisfy us. We look for a future where I will succeed with my goals, and then I'll finally be happy, or I'm gonna get rid of this person in my life, or I'm gonna, there's all these things. No, that's bullshit. That's just a mind idea, and it's just, we all know it's just entertaining, and it's a game, so it's cool. But to know that you're there already, it will help you. Yeah, sure. Anyway, I'm finishing in hopefully 2 lines more. Imagine your most ideal future or goal of, I don't know, whatever it is that you dream, desire, whatever it is. Just recognize that ultimately we are running to this supposed future where circumstances are in a certain way, just to allow yourself to relax. Okay, now I have the perfect partner, I have the perfect job, I have all this money in my bank account, super cool. I live. Okay, now I'm gonna relax. Of course, I don't know if for you ever happened, but I really doubt that anyone really reach a fullness on that. Of course, everybody succeed in certain ways. I can never forget George Harrison saying, I wish everyone would be famous. George Harrison was the guitarist from the Beatles, with, for some of you may not know, one of the most famous, greatest bands in music history. And he said, I wish everyone to be famous and rich, just to realize that it's just not it. It's just not it. So if you can make a stretch in your imagination and really just consider for a moment that all this effort on succeeding and getting people attention and love and getting all this security, if you just make a stretch in your imagination and just start considering that may not be it, you're saving yourself time. So if this makes any sense to you, can please take it. I print it for you to take it if you want to. Otherwise, thank you so much for sharing your life with me, your intention of being here and now. I really appreciate it. Makes me happy. So thank you, and I wish you a beautiful week, and hopefully see you soon.